Friends, if you're dealing with a destructive narcissist and they're having a negative impact on you and your life, it's time to stop being nice and instead get in touch with your inner strength, your courage, self-respect, and dignity. In short, it's time to reclaim your power once and for all. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you exactly how to do just that. You ready? Let's go. Hi friends, Tamie M. Joyce here, empowerment life coach, creator of the Freedom class and the Ascension class. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. Please take a second to say hello and introduce yourself in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell to be sure to be notified when I post new videos throughout the week. So let's dive into why it would behoove you to stop being nice to the narcissist and what you should be doing instead. In case you haven't noticed, being nice doesn't work. Not when you're dealing with someone who lands on the spectrum of destructive narcissism, it doesn't. And don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting you be unnecessarily rude or hostile. That's not where I'm going with this. But nice isn't actually going to get you what you want or need. And that's because when you're dealing with a true blue, dyed-in-the-wool destructive narcissist, someone who is fundamentally malevolent, you have to know up front that it is not now, nor is it ever going to be, a level playing field. Meaning, you and the narcissist aren't motivated by the same things. While your intention is to have an open, honest, kind, decent, respectful, and mutually beneficial, and perhaps even loving relationship, whatever the nature of the relationship, the narcissist's motivation isn't any of that. Although they may very well talk a good talk, the truth is their motivation is completely different. If you're paying attention, you'll notice that their words and their behavior, their actions, rarely, if ever, match. Sure, they'll act as if and even say they want the same things you do, but once you get beyond the initial idealization phase, the love bombing phase, and this is true even in friendships and professional relationships, by the way. Once you get past this initial phase and the narcissist thinks they have you where they want you, their true intentions will become obvious. And it will have zero to do with healthy, happy, peaceful, kind, decent, or respectful relating. Now, especially if you're codependent, and especially if you still carry unresolved family of origin wounding and trauma, by the time their mask starts to slip and their true intentions, their true motivation is revealed, often you're already hooked, which can make breaking away incredibly difficult, if not excruciatingly painful. And as a result, you end up running the cycle of abuse. Ideal, devalue, and discard on repeat until you decide you've had enough and you commit to doing your own personal healing and recovery work. In the meantime, what's going on in the dysfunctional dynamic between you and the narcissist is working for them. Not you, them. While you run around in circles trying to be nice enough and good enough and kind enough and patient enough and loving enough in the hopes of gaining their love, validation, and approval, which are things they fully do not have to give. And nothing changes. In fact, things only continue to get worse until you finally begin to recognize the patterns of behavior for what they actually are. And you decide to do what you need to do to start taking better care of yourself. And this moment of clarity and shift in the relationship dynamic has to come from you. Again, what's going on is working for the narcissist. So if you want anything to change, that change is going to have to come from you. And that begins with recognizing a few fundamental truths. First, you can't change the narcissist, no matter how nice you are. And they aren't going to change. There is no amount of nice that you can bring to the relationship dynamic with the destructive narcissist that is going to help you get your needs met. So you're going to have to drop the magical thinking and start living in reality, no matter how uncomfortable that reality may be right now. Telling yourself the dirt honest truth is the one thing that will help you, as difficult as that may be. Some people, especially codependent empaths who have yet to do their own healing and recovery work, make the mistake of believing that if they can just be patient, kind, tolerant, more loving, sympathetic, empathetic, communicate better, appeal to logic and a moral compass, that somehow, some way, someday, they'll be able to crack the code and get through, get what they want and need. But that's an illusion, and a delusional one at that. Again, remember, narcissists are running a completely different agenda, one that has absolutely nothing to do with your comfort, preferences, desires, or well-being for that matter. And it's vitally important that you do whatever you need to do to get clear and stay clear so you can ultimately navigate your way out of the toxic and destructive dynamic and into a much healthier and more productive life for yourself. So that begs the question, how do you get clear? Well, to begin with, know the signs. What does emotional manipulation and psychological abuse actually look like? Well, it can start with, how often does the narcissist look to you to meet their needs? How entitled are they in your life and at your expense? Do they demonstrate a clear sense of entitlement in the way they mistreat you, disrespect you? Is this clear by virtue of their attitude, their behavior toward you, even if intermittently? Do they feel entitled to your time, energy, attention, and/or resources, even though they mistreat you and disrespect you, treat you with unprovoked and unwarranted contempt and disdain? To what degree do they expect you to know what they want or need or prefer without them having to ask, without them having to communicate clearly like an actual adult? Do they expect you to simply read their mind, know what they want without having been told? Do they feel entitled to get angry, disrespect, and/or snub you altogether because you couldn't or didn't read their mind? Are you forever trying to stay one step ahead and get it just right while the goalposts continually shift? Are you forever walking on eggshells, afraid to upset them? Do you jump through hoops in an attempt to please them and/or gain their approval? Is gaining their approval something else that feels like a constant moving target, and hitting it an absolute impossibility no matter how hard you try? Are you exhausted, drained, depleted, or maybe even a nervous wreck because of all of this? How do they respond when you give them any kind of feedback? Are they open to hearing your side, empathizing with your feelings? Or is even the most constructive criticism an absolute no-go and against the rules? How do they respond when you have a thought or feeling that doesn't align with their perception of themselves, their false image, their false sense of superiority? How do they react when you dare set a boundary or say no to them? Are you expected to put their needs before your own? Do they expect your undying praise, admiration, respect, and loyalty, no matter what they've done or how poorly they've treated you? Do they feel betrayed when you don't openly admire them, in spite of how appallingly they've behaved toward you? Do they act childish? For example, roll their eyes, or sulk, or pout, or otherwise behave passive-aggressively toward you, especially when they don't get their way or aren't getting enough attention? Do they accuse you of being insensitive and uncaring toward them without cause and for no good reason? Do they constantly find fault with you? Do they constantly find fault with your friends, your support system? Do they work to isolate you from any kind of support system you might otherwise have? Do you suffer from anxiety? have a knot in the pit of your stomach, feel ill at ease, in particular when in their presence? Do they mock you? Do they become angry, unreasonable, or irrational and shift blame when confronted or challenged? Do they use your disclosures as ammunition against you? Do they use truth selectively and out of context to blame, shame, criticize, and invalidate you, to assassinate your character? Do they lie, distort, and mislead with shocking ease? Do you often find yourself on the defensive, trying desperately to be seen, heard, and understood, but to no avail? Are they controlling, manipulative? Are they bizarrely competitive? Do they have a superior attitude? Are they contemptuous and disdainful of both you and others? Are they arrogant, envious, jealous? Do they diminish, demean, and devalue you? Are they selfish and self-centered, often to the extreme? Do they work to be the center of attention, whether that be through grandiose attention-seeking behavior as the overt narcissist does, or with a feigned, meek, and demure demeanor and never-ending victim story as the covert narcissist does? Are they insensitive to your needs? Do they expect special treatment and special favors, but never return them? Do they call your character into question and or smear your name the moment they aren't getting what they want? Do they accuse you of being the narcissist when you finally had enough and drawn a line in the sand? The degree to which any of this is your experience tells a story about what you're actually living. And let's be honest, if this is your reality, your experience, how far has being nice with this person or these people gotten you so far? My guess is not very far. So, what do? Well, to begin with, you have to be willing to remove the rose-colored glasses. Stop projecting your good heart and your good intent onto people who do not carry the same. You have to become willing to drop your naivete, stand in the dirt honest truth of the matter, the truth of your experience, what you actually live, and evaluate how things actually are in reality, not how you wish they were or want them to be, but how they actually are. And you definitely have to stop buying whatever BS the narcissist is selling when their actions, their behavior, consistently do not match their words, and their promises, the promises that they make and break on repeat. You've got to stop listening to all of that. The thing is, when it comes to navigating your way out of narcissistic abuse and getting to a place of clarity, enough clarity to be able to begin to reclaim our power, we're looking for patterns of behavior. When we're wanting to evaluate whether or not a relationship, any relationship, is one we want to continue in. Remember, words are easy, so easy to say. And self-absorbed, manipulative people who are trying to avoid responsibility, accountability, and save their own ass are capable of saying whatever it takes. So, learn to pay far more attention to what people do or don't do on repeat as opposed to what they say. Again, words are easy. Don't allow your good heart, highly empathic naivete, and wishful thinking allow you to be hurt, mistreated, or disrespected on repeat. You deserve better, so much better. So, what do you do instead? Well, the goal is to reduce or eliminate the negative impact the narcissist's attitudes and behaviors are having on you. Protective strategies are those that can help you deal with your reactions in the immediate. Those things that get triggered within you when you have no alternative but to engage with the narcissist. In the short term, things like reducing your exposure, detaching emotionally, and employing the gray rock method, while exercising extreme self-care, can be really helpful. And if you want to learn more about how to use the gray rock method, you can watch this video here. Also, refuse to be gaslit. Make your life a zero-tolerance zone for gaslighting. Do not allow someone to cause you to doubt yourself, question the legitimacy of what you feel, or your perception of reality. That, my friends, is emotional abuse, and it only works if we play. Don't play. You know what you live. You know what you saw and heard. You know what you feel. You don't have to second guess yourself. Furthermore, do not explain, defend, justify, or apologize unless, of course, you legitimately have something to apologize for. If so, you apologize one time, not on repeat and in perpetuity as a lifestyle. You do the right thing for you. You keep your conscience clean, your side of the street clean. Barring that, do not allow yourself to be bullied, manipulated, or coerced into over-explaining, defending, justifying, or apologizing to a destructive narcissist just to keep the peace, or in the hopes of winning their approval. That's exactly what the narcissist wants, in fact, needs, in order to maintain their position of dominance and control. Don't give them that. Stop explaining yourself to someone who is fully committed to misunderstanding and misrepresenting you. Stop handing over your power and your vital life force energy. And for goodness sake, stop taking the bait, meaning stop reacting to their provocations. When you're reacting to their provocations, they're in charge. They're in control. Again, don't give them that. And if you want to learn more about what to say to a narcissist instead of reacting, you can watch this video here. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Tell me, have you experienced any of what I'm talking about? Let's talk about it. And if you're ready to go deeper and you truly want to break free, check out the Freedom Class, my 8-week transformational coaching program. We go all in on healing, rebuilding your confidence, and reclaiming your power after narcissistic abuse. Click on the link in the description below this video to apply for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team. You don't have to do this alone. I've got you. Now, in the long term, detachment is key. You want to detach emotionally, psychologically, and if possible, physically. Full-blown no contact, as soon as you can reasonably manage it. More than anything, though, you want to commit to a serious healing and recovery process. Understand that there has been damage done, real damage, and the effects of narcissistic abuse don't just go away on their own. There are things that need to be healed, work that needs to be done. Understand that if you have a pattern of attracting this type of empathy-impaired emotional manipulator, there is a subconscious magnetic relationship pattern at play. And if you don't want that to continue, you don't want to repeat that pattern, then something has to change, and it's inside of you. That's the work that needs to be done, and you have to be willing to do that work for yourself. And don't get me wrong, that's not a criticism, it's just a fact. You want to get on the path of healing and recovery so you can build and develop yourself and heal your untreated codependency, which is the very thing that sets you up for this kind of relationship dynamic to begin with, especially if you know you're an empath. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Fostering the growth and development of your own emotional health and well-being, your own emotional intelligence, self-worth, and self-esteem, so you aren't so susceptible to this kind of abuse moving forward, that's the work that changes the game for real and for good. It's time now. And on that note, I'm going to call it a wrap. But before I go, you should know the Ascension class is also open for enrollment. Now, this is for you if you're ready and able to invest in yourself, if you're ready to shift your identity, master the law of attraction, heal your relationship with money, and put a full stop end to the limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging behaviors that are holding you back and preventing you from living your best life. If you're ready to reinvent yourself from the inside out, create your dream life by design, and finally become the you were always meant to be, click on the link in the description to apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team.